look at that lot, what else is gonna go down in there except for something like that? I don't know what else. I don't know what the numbers are at that Seagull Suites, extended stay.
I think they went over on Hennis, but I think it's used for what it's supposed to be. That other one, by the night, by the week.
So it's got all options. You know,
My son used to tell me it was like every single night they had to go down to police.
you know they advertise that at the airport? If you're at the airport, the tunnel, or the little road that takes you out to get on that tram, they have a tram, it talks about Seagull Suites. I'm going, yeah. Yeah, but they offer you want sheets? $5 more. You want this? I mean, they offer all these different plans, and I think that's why it has such a high turnover. Because you're right, I'm sure they're there all the time.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause it's a real melting pot. So that's kind of with.
They're the ones that used to get killed all the time, too, going across the street before they put the law on.
Yeah. They did. So we'll see.
He was at our board presenting one of his planning projects. They're doing industrial rezone.
Hey, it might turn into a Bucky.
Oh, I-8.
Really?
It might turn into a Bucky.
I'm not.
The broker got a call back. Where?
Really? As a broker, they can. As a broker, you know they can pay for it.
He's a planner. He's like, planning projects. So rezone, he's like the guy who's seen,
Yeah.
Hour is upon us. We ready? All good?
everywhere, I guess.
Okay. I'd like to call the, what's today? June 5th, Cass Grand Planning and Zoning Commission meeting to order. Please rise and join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Everybody's here. Eric, you'll let the record show we're all in attendance. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, there are no changes to the published agenda.
Thank you. Okay, commissioners, we have two sets of very short minutes. What's your
Mr. Chairman,
desire?
I'd like to do the honors
That'd
once
be great.
again. Consider approval of the minutes for the May 1st, 2025 meeting.
Okay, I have a motion,
Second.
a second. All in favor, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have another one.
I'd also like to approve the minutes for the May 1st, 2025 special meeting.
Thank you very much. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, both of those are passed. Very good. Now, we're at public comments part of our agenda. Anybody from the public that would like to address the commission on any issue besides the two that are on our agenda? Any comments you'd like to make, please feel free to step forward. Come up to the dais. Okay, Seeing none, I'll close the public comment part and get to new business. First is public hearing and a request from Joe Rosenswitch for conditional use permit. Boy, I botched that name, I'm sure. DSA 250056. Sam?
Good evening, Commissioners, Chair. Yes, tonight I am bringing before you the conditional use permit for the sports lab. So this is conditional use permit and associated resolution for a commercial recreational facility. The site is located at 655 West Cottonwood Lane. It's approximately 1,700 feet west of the intersection on Cottonwood and Pinal. It is currently zoned B2, and the whole site is about 2.15 acres. The sports lab is going to consist of some batting cages. They're going to have some open areas for pitching, catching practice, and then some weight training, cardio, and they may eventually offer some yoga and those types of activities. Here is the site looking southwest. Yeah, southwest. Our site is, so our point site is here. Here it is looking from the front. And here it is again from the top view. Inside the building, you'll see here that there's approximately 5,000 square feet for a series of batting cages, as well as a workout and weight training area. They will not be occupying the entirety of the building. There will be other tenants in various capacities at this site. And here I've kind of highlighted some of the parking that will be offered. There will be parking in the rear as well. Our regular conditional use permit criteria, the 5 of them here, these criteria have all been evaluated and are covered within the staff report. And staff finds that they meet all of the criteria. All the criteria have been met. Public notification, there has been notice in the newspaper, as well as public mailers, and a sign was required and posted at the site. Staff did receive one inquiry the other day about this proposal. The community member who had called in was concerned about toxic chemicals or anything that may be harmful to the community. As this is not that type of development, that was not a concern, and they had no other concerns or comments at that time. So at this time, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission approve this conditional use permit and associated resolution DSA 250056 for this commercial recreation, batting cages and workout area in a B2 zone district located at 655 West Cottonwood Lane.
All right, commissioners, questions for staff?
Good question.
Yep.
Sam, those other sections of the building, any thoughts on what those are going to be?
I am not,
Because the parking that's on East Cottonwood is in front of that other section, right, the white?
correct.
So these guys parking is the green?
So all of the parking will be, it's all one single lot, so it'll be shared parking between all of the uses there. So I've got, 20-some parking spaces shown here, and then again, the larger lot in the back will be used for parking.
When the trailers are all gone.
Yeah, so as you can see, there are a lot of trailers there, but like I said, it's almost a 2-acre lot. There should be sufficient parking, and they will, be required to provide that or show that before they're issued a certificate of occupancy.
Are there plans for those trailers to be taken out of there, or
That I'm not sure how the property owner is
the
going
mash
to
unit, yeah,
manage that.
okay.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, would the applicant or their representative like to come forward and address the commission?
you doing? My name is Joe Rosewitz.
Hi, can you give us your name and address for the record?
Joe Rosewitz, reside at 638 West Teveco Court here in Casa Grande.
Okay, anything you'd like to say, Commissioner?
The trailers.
Yeah.
Talked to the owner. He's working on selling them.
Good.
He's actually selling all the stuff inside. I think he's appliance and furniture right now.
Right, right.
So he's working on selling all that. So we will have the entire back area
That'll
for
be
parking
yours.
eventually. Kind of depends on our next step, whether we move forward. So,
Thank you.
we should have plenty of parking.
Good.
Okay. Any other,
Question.
yes,
So what else is going on inside the building? Who are the other tenants in the building?
That I don't know. He's kind of addressed something for the elderly in the small section, if you want to go back to the main, that one. So that small section was supposed to be opened up to something to do with the elderly. He's not sure yet, but right now he did have the building up for sale. He was going to vacate it. I've come in and offered him this business to run in there to keep it going, so he's decided to keep the building. I don't know exactly the details on that small building. I know the back unit is his maintenance shop, so I don't think unless he finds someone else to rent it out, I don't know what's gonna go on there. But as far as I know right now, it's just gonna be us.
Okay, thank you.
very good. Anything else? Yes.
Yeah, I have one question. In regards to the little small space between the actual cages and the weight room, I see the
Yes,
walk path and,
that I'm trying to acquire. He actually built a office,
okay,
and he's using that right now because he's still selling all the stuff. So he's got all his computers and
okay.
his stuff in there, but it's actually just an office inside, just a wall with a door. So if I can acquire that and make that my office, that'll become blue.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, good. Anything else?
We're good.
Is there a fence at the back?
There's a fence, that one car on the left.
Somewhere, yeah.
Didn't look like it.
There's a gate.
Oh, so this is
Oh, that far side, I actually haven't been over there.
like where the houses are?
Yeah, so he actually owns that little strip down where the
Side there.
trailers are
Right there.
parked.
So are the trailers basically the fence right now?
No, there is a fence between the property line and his. That I've seen. And I think he's got a gate there on, I don't know what that street is, off of Cottonwood.
Crane,
That one is actually a locked up gate,
yeah.
so he's just parking trailers there until you can get rid of them. He's actually sold quite a few of them so far. We had talks in the near future of making that a grass field back there, depending on the parking we need to accommodate any outside soccer, or whatever we can do with the youth. But that comes down, way down later on the road.
Got all the asphalt. Okay. Anything else? Commissioners for him?
It's a lot of trailers.
A lot of trailers.
I didn't realize how many there was.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you guys for your time.
So now we'll open the public portion of the meeting. Anybody from the public would like to address this issue, please come forward. And seeing none, I'll close the public portion of the meeting. And commissioners, where are we going?
Chairman, can I ask one more question of staff?
Absolutely.
Does the property have any code violations on it, the way it sits today, with everything that's on it?
I am not aware of any code violations at this time, but it was not something that I specifically looked into,
Okay.
but I can follow up. And,
Yeah, I was just curious, because there's a lot going on, so,
no, it's, I think this is gonna be a good use of that property.
to kind of clean.
And it's a much more, in line with the, residential areas around there. I think it's gonna be a great improvement.
Being approved, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have that cleaned up, I guess you'd call it, for not quite so much stuff.
I was a little worried about that.
17 trailers.
And, yeah, yeah. Okay, any other discussion? Okay. It's up to y'all.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the conditional use permit and associated resolution, DSA 25-00056 for commercial recreation in a B2 zone district located at 655 West Cottonwood Lane.
I'll second that.
All right, good. Motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Member Smith,
Yes.
Member Aldred,
Aye.
Member Vanderhayden,
Yes.
Member Hubbard,
Yes.
Member Peters,
Aye.
Vice Chair Garza,
Aye.
Chairman Benedict.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Be a great thing. We look forward to it.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay. Next up, we'll have a public hearing and to consider requests from Casa Grande Hospitality LLC, ESA Premier Suites, 2.2 acres on the southeast of Florence Boulevard, Community Mercado. ESA 25-00112 and 13. James.
Hey, good evening, Chairman and Planning Commissioners. So as you indicated, I'm going to be covering two applications this evening that are included within one presentation. There will first be discussion about a proposed PAD amendment to the Casa Grande Mercado Planned Area Development Zone District, and also the discussion of a major site plan to accommodate a proposed extended stay hotel offered by ESA Premier Suites. In this photo, the top of the photo is looking west. Florence Boulevard's on the right, and the request involves the site shown on the screen there in blue. They're seeking approval to develop an extended stay hotel near the southeast corner of Camino Mercado in Florence. It's a 2.2 acre site, and the hotel would include 124 rooms. This is a tall building, 4 stories at 50 feet in height, with 132 parking spaces. I've overlaid the site plan onto the aerial so you can see how the proposal would fit into that area. And here is an example of their architectural elevations. Their front elevation is what you would see from Florence Boulevard. So as I mentioned, I'm going to be talking about two applications this evening. The amendment to the Casa Grande Mercado PAD is necessary to clarify the hotel use at the 50 feet requested height in that area, and to also reflect this area as one development parcel, and to also clarify design standards such as the architecture and fencing. The Casa Grande Mercado PAD is one of our oldest planned area development zone districts, and it's about 35 years old. And it did provide some elements on it that were very specific to certain lots, and I'll go through that here on the upcoming slides. But this amendment helps clarify that this area is intended for a one-lot development that would allow a hotel use. And then I'm also going to be talking about the major site plan, which is for the siting of the building and its associated improvements. This proposal, if approved, will also involve replatting. It'll be required to place this property into one singular platted lot, but that's to be considered by City Council. To give you an idea of what I'm talking about, is this was part of a 9-lot commercial subdivision, and so the development will entail a replat to change that, a couple of those lots into one lot. A little bit more detail about the PAD amendment. In the 1990 PAD guide for the Casa Grande Mercado, it had designated Lot 9 for a 60-foot tall 4-story hotel, and it had provided some architectural renderings. As you can tell, a hotel didn't develop there. That's where Cracker Barrel is. And you know what? I like their food so much, sometimes I wish it was a hotel, but it developed for another use. And so what this proposal does is it does specify that the area further west is for a hotel at 50 feet in height. And it does have modernized elevation styles. This is an excerpt of the PED where you can see how specific it is. It had shown that the area proposed for this new hotel development to be 2 specific lots for a bank and a restaurant, and we treat that as kind of conceptual information. But the current PAD allowed that area to have commercial uses at a height of 24 feet. The only area that was allowed to be taller was the hotel site on Lot 9 at a height of 60. As I mentioned, the original PAD document did include architectural renderings of both the former outlet, which is to the south, and I know it goes by a bunch of different names. As I was driving through there the other day, I noticed it's called Palm Center, and that's also confusing because I think there's a Palm Corner or whatnot, catty corner to here, and there's not a palm in sight, so at that other location. But as you can tell, the Palm Center or this former outlet area was built fairly true to the architectural renderings within the PAD guide. And as I had shown on the previous slide, they had given renderings for the hotel that was supposed to be constructed on Lot 9. Of course, this proposed hotel site is proposing much more modern elevations. But with regard to the elevations throughout the PAD, there is kind of a hodgepodge. You have the Arco development, which interestingly is kind of capturing that 1990 era style of the Spanish tile roofing. But all the other buildings within that PAD is a mixture. You have Dutch Brothers, which is probably the newest within the PAD. But then you have Popeyes, which was remodeled because I believe it was originally a Schlotzsky's, and then the Cracker Barrel. This development does propose a modern style architecture, and as you can tell, it's a mixture of gray colors. One of the things that are being amended is that the current PAD does indicate within the guide a southwest architectural elevation theme, and so one of the amendments that will apply specifically to this area is to allow a modern style architecture. Another aspect that they're amending to the PAD is with regard to fencing. The current PAD talks about no composite or plastic fencing is allowed, and they are actually proposing to place a Trex type fencing along its western boundary, where it's adjacent to a retention basin, as well as on the flag stem portion of it, where it's adjacent to the drainage basin there, just north of the access drive. As you can tell, that existing retention basin off of Camino Mercado does have a sidewalk along it, but that fencing would be located between that retention basin and the development site. When reviewing PADs, these are the criteria that we evaluate, and I want to specifically talk about the 2 highlighted items. Of course, the staff report covers each of these criteria in greater detail. The primary criteria that I want to talk about is conformance to the city's general plan. So this area does fall within the community corridor designation. Within the community corridor land use designation, it supports development of diverse activity centers that incorporate various building sizes and land uses. And the key objective is infill development, which this can be considered. And also within the community corridor category, it stipulates a maximum floor area ratio of 0.5. You might not automatically know what that means, so I have a little bit of a graphic for you. So floor area ratio is somewhat like a maximum building coverage, but looking at it as a per floor calculation. So if you were to build a one-story building at a 0.5, that means you can cover half the lot, as you see in the far left image. But as you do a two-story building, that means you can only cover a quarter of the lot. 3 stories, you'd think that would be 12.5%. I was mathing with it, but it's technically not. It becomes 17%. And there is an explanation for that, but I won't go into that. By the time you go to a 4-story building, that means that you can only cover about 12.5% of the lot, as shown on this graphic. So this request actually will exceed that 0.5. It will be 0.59, and it results in a lot coverage of about 14.4%. The way that we say that this is still in conformance with the tenets of the Community Corridor General Plan is by looking at the PAD as a whole. The existing PAD actually assigns estimated floor area ratios for each lot. The proposed amended PAD changes the area to be developed to 0.59. However, when calculating the combined floor area ratio of the PAD as a whole, including this proposed site at 0.59, the overall floor area ratio within the PAD is at 0.192, still well below 0.5. When applying the floor area ratio of 0.5 to the undeveloped areas, so if the area is currently undeveloped within this PAD shaded in that light blue, ask for a 0.5, the maximum allowed in the community corridor. The proposed, including the 0.59 for this proposed site, you end up getting 0.24. So still well below the 0.5 floor area ratio maximum. The other criteria that I want to talk about with regard to a planned area development zone is a relationship to plan elements both on and off the property. As you can tell within the existing PAD, it did call for a commercial area with access through it. As you can see, there's Camino del Norte, which runs through the center of the PAD, and Camino Mercado towards the west side of the PAD. This subject site changes that figure ground to provide for the development of a hotel site. It also incorporates that access drive between Camino Mercado and Camino del Norte. However, the lot will continue to have an access easement not only for vehicles and pedestrians, but also for utilities. So it still functions as an access drive as originally shown here. It's just incorporated into the developing lot. And this is a closer shot of the site plan where you can see how that's accommodated. So with the PAD amendment, staff is recommending that Planning Commission approve the request. And I did want to clarify that oftentimes you serve as a recommending body for PAD amendments to City Council. However, in our code, all major changes shall be submitted to the Planning Commission for their review and approval, except for the items that I bulleted. None of the bulleted items technically apply in this case, so you would be serving as the approving body of the PAD. Now on to the major site plan. These are the associated review criteria for major site plan submittals, and some of these overlap with the review criteria for PAD amendments. So I'm going to just talk about the three highlighted items in a slightly unique way as it applies to the major site plan. I already talked about the vehicular ingress and egress. However, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about, with the submittal of a major site plan, we get a traffic impact analysis, and that was prepared by YK2. Is it YK2 or Y2K? Y2K. I knew one of you would know. It had shown that there is an estimation of 546 daily trips with 42 peak hour trips in the AM and 45 peak hour trips in the PM. It was found that the streets and intersections that would be impacted by the increase of traffic still maintained an acceptable level of service. The analysis looked at the intersection of Camino Mercado and Florence and the intersection of Camino del Norte and Florence, and also the driveway with Camino Mercado along that south leg. They are proposing to run a sidewalk through the site. There's already an existing sidewalk along Camino Mercado, and a sidewalk would be extended south of the retention basin. A sidewalk with public pedestrian access would move in more into the site flush with the hotel, but there would also be a sidewalk that would be extended along Camino del Norte. Regarding building location, heights, and elevations, this is a tall building. 4 stories, 50 feet in height is something that would be fairly intense for that area. However, within the community corridor category, we support taller buildings, and the placement of the taller building is appropriate here given that it's kind of a stair step when you think about the smaller, lower profile buildings immediately adjacent to Florence. This would sit behind there, still giving those smaller pad sites visibility. And in looking at some other aspects, there are some other taller buildings in the area. You have the apartment complex that's about completed, that is further to the south. And then you have Sun Life, which is a 4-story building a little bit further to the west. Regarding the landscaping, it does meet that which is required by the landscape code, which is 2 trees and 5 shrubs for every 3 parking spaces. That would yield 88 trees and 220 shrubs, given that there's 132 parking spaces proposed. And the plan actually meets the number of trees, but well exceeds the number of shrubs. And then there's a requirement for 1 tree and 3 shrubs for every 30 feet of street frontage, and so that would be along Camino del Norte. That would yield 7 trees and 21 shrubs. They're proposing 7 trees and 27 shrubs in that area. So with that, staff does recommend that Planning Commission approve this major site plan. However, there are a few recommended technical modifications that the applicant is aware of. There's an error regarding the building square footage on the site plan that needs to be revised, and then some updates with regard to reflecting improvements on Camino del Norte in terms of providing a sidewalk and curb and gutter and a street lamp. Regarding the notification process, we met that which is required by code. Staff has not received any inquiries or comments specific to this request. And as far as staff's recommendations, there's 2 of them that you will be considering separately this evening. Staff is recommending that Planning Commission approve the amendment to the PAD. And then we are also asking that you approve the major site plan subject to the technical modifications I just went over. And I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I do see that the applicant is in attendance too, so he be happy to address questions as well.
Okay, we'll get there, yes.
I have one question. Jim, the empty lot that's to the east of Camino del Norte, is that a buildable lot? And if so, what would the zoning be on that one?
So to the east is sitting kind of catty corner to Cracker Barrel. Is that what you're
Yeah,
talking
that's-
about? It is part of the Casa Grande Mercado PAD, and so it could be a variety of commercial uses. It was split in violation of the subdivision standards, so if they were to go to develop it, they may have to address a replat. But I foresee that it would be another type of commercial highway service use, like a restaurant, possibly.
Okay, good, thank you.
Follow up, so we're talking about the one that's right on the road, then is there another lot beyond to the east?
I'll pull up a graphic that this might be good. Actually, sorry, did I lose you?
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, there's another one. Go
There's a
back to
better
it.
one. I
The
just have
one
to
you had your blue on shows it.
Okay, there's a really good one though, I know.
Really, not just a
really-
good one, but a really
There-
good one.
There's this, but
Waiting patiently for that one.
but you don't like that one, huh? Okay.
That's good. That'll work.
Okay. Just tell me when to stop. I'll go.
Wow, I did.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want me to go to the one that showed the trees though?
Go back one.
I don't remember trees.
Okay.
Go back.
Or move that sign there.
We need to see the east.
So is this a good one?
That one was out there.
Sorry about that. This one might be good here on that bottom graphic, because that shows the lot that Commissioner Peters was asking about. It showed it in the PAD as a restaurant, but it could be any kind of commercial use.
So from that, are you telling me that Cracker Barrel owns the lot that's empty, the area that's empty to the south of their building?
Right, so Cracker Barrel developed on a portion of what was Lot 9, but they illegally subdivided the land when they built it. And so now the area that was platted Lot 9 now sits as 2 parcels, if not 2.5. I'm not quite certain because I don't have the
Gotcha.
APN parcel lines on. But yeah, there is some developable land to the south of Cracker Barrel that could technically be a commercial use. But they would have to go through some sort of replatting possibly.
Okay.
And then there is where the retention basin south of Dutch Brothers, that technically was identified in the PED as a fast food business, but it could be any kind of commercial development. But it's not likely to develop because it was constructed, that lot ended up being developed as a retention basin when Dutch Brothers was built, because if I remember correctly, the lot for Dutch Brothers was receiving a lot of developed flow from the rest of the development because a proper stormwater solution hadn't been implemented. And so in a way to address that, Dutch Brothers bought the lot to the south and put a retention basin in that collected the developed flows for the development. So it's kind of a sacrificial lot.
Well, somebody will have fun working that out. Commissioners, any other questions for staff? I think that's where we're at.
I have a question in
Yes.
regards to Camino del Norte, that particular eastway. It looks like it's narrower than the one that's going off on the west side. Were there any plans on widening that particular road?
Commissioner Smith, there isn't a plan to widen it, but it will be improved with curb gutter and sidewalk on the west side of it, so it'll be better defined.
Okay.
But it did actually end up getting dedicated to this, or deeded to the city as public right-of-way. So we do have, as a city, control of that right-of-way width, but it won't be as wide as Camino Mercado.
Okay. To that point, my second question, following up on that, that's a very congested area if you've ever traveled through there. Right now, it's just a single stop sign. Were there any sort of plans on doing anything else as far as the traffic's concerned? I know just before that, where the actual QT is, there's an actual light.
So the city does have some long-range plans of improving Florence Boulevard, particularly from I-10 over to Hennis, which is further to the west. But in looking at those improvements, it's possible that the intersection with Camino del Norte and Florence will be restricted to some degree more so than it is now.
Okay.
And that does become kind of controversial because people are used to that intersection for full access. But it may be safer to restrict it in some way where perhaps there's not an ability to make all four turning movements. I'm talking left ins, right outs, right ins. You know, there might be some restriction to that. But in doing so, the city will probably have to make some improvements as to the approach to Camino Mercado, because that means if you restrict movements there to some degree, Camino Mercado may see either vehicles doing U-turns or more vehicles coming out onto Camino Mercado. And so there may have to be some enhancements to that road to mitigate what has changed with the intersection of Camino del Norte and Florence.
Great. Thank you.
Chairman, I was going to ask that same
Yes.
question, just because the intersection of Camino Norte and Florence is not great today. And I can't imagine adding, any more traffic to it, because the movements between the Dairy Queen and these and people making left-hand turns, it's bad.
Correct.
So I find it hard to believe that the traffic study said that even with this, it would sit at a good level of service at Florence, but you didn't provide me enough information to review, so I'm taking your word for it, Jim.
We needed another 100 pages for
No,
for
we just
Celeste,
needed the
so-
conclusion of that report, would have been real helpful.
And any time that you want me to provide that to you, just let me know, because I do have that with that data.
And
but-
it was all approved by your,
Right,
city
by our
engineer.
traffic consultant, yeah.
Right.
And you believe those engineer people?
Well, I'm only, I don't know, I find it hard to believe.
Yeah,
That's where-
it's a mess now.
It's a mess.
So I can imagine what you're adding, 124 parking spaces there? So I'm just thinking if it's 3/4 full, how is everyone going to exit back and forth out of there?
We're believing they're going out to Mercado, Camino Mercado. Because that is, right, they're opening that up.
Yeah.
So, I'm being
thinking-
facetious. I know.
I'm thinking of how Google Maps is going to send somebody going to stay at the hotel, and they're probably going to send them down Camino Norte.
Yeah.
Left
From
turn in,
I-10.
off the
Right.
freeway, left
Yes.
turn in.
Yes.
Well, one thing to note is that currently there is not a road out to Camino Mercado. It's undeveloped there, just south of the drainage basin. And what the development of this site does is it punches through an access way from Camino del Norte, which you see on the bottom of the road. When this photo was taken, they had just gotten done blacktopping that like 5 minutes before. So that's why it looks so dark there on the bottom. And it probably hadn't been paved in however many years, but it's paved now. But going, then towards the top of the image, which is west, there will be an access drive extended. So that's going to accommodate some benefit, not just for the hotel, but other users within that PAD to get out to Camino Mercado.
Right, and I'm sure the fire department asked for some secondary access as well
Right.
to get to an emergency.
Right now, you have to go through the plaza in order to get over there.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, any other questions for staff?
Oh, we beat this one to death.
Oh, we're not done.
You're not done. Just wait.
Would the applicant or their representative please come forward and address the commission?
Hello, my name is Nick Maxwell. I'm a civil engineer representing the applicant. I live at 238 West Bobcat Court in Casa Grande.
Great, thank you for that. Any comments you want to make first?
Not at this time, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay.
Appreciate your consideration.
Very good. Commissioners, you have questions?
I just have one question.
You're right.
What was the motivation behind changing the permitted wall and fence materials to allow composite?
The applicant that I represent builds a lot of hotels and builds a lot of fences and has a strong preference for that fence. He believes it looks better and it's more modern, and he also believes it requires less maintenance over time.
Okay.
This is an extended stay property?
That's right.
Is there any type of conference room in it at all, or?
There are some public spaces. I don't know if it's a conference room
Okay.
or there's like a small gym, a little bit of square footage.
For the people that are staying there?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
There was a little bit of meeting space in what I saw. Okay. Anything else, commissioners, for him? Oh, you guys are. So, so this building is, okay, yes, there's a 4-story building. It's another one a mile away to the west, which is actually lower in elevation because the land falls away and the highway is up above. Except for the overpass, this will be one of the tallest buildings anywhere around. The other hotel is another mile away, the new one there on the other end of Promenade. It is also a 4-story building, I believe, of a similar style. So I guess part of my challenge, and I'd love to hear your comments about it, because this is such a prominent building in size, the architectural style is so different and is in fact different from the PAD that is in place, has no relation to what the PAD that's in place. And comments that, that the planner had made about the architectural style of the buildings in front, yes, they're different style. They are not as different from Southwest as this building will be. The only one that's even close to this style is the coffee shop there, which is almost de minimis. It's such a small building that it's just kind of. Were there no alternatives for this? For this architecture to be a little bit in line with what's around. There are also several other hotels and other buildings as you go down that have somewhat of a Southwest style, if nothing else, the tile roofs and there's other pieces of that, and I am certainly not an architect to be able to ramble them all off, but this appears to me to be rather abrupt change. Any comments? Can you help me with my concerns in this regard?
I understand your concern, and I see what you're pointing at. What I can say is that this style of architecture is, the developer believes the hotel can be more efficient, more profitable this way. It's a type of architecture that attracts customers currently. They feel the Southwest architecture can be a little bit dated and might be off-putting to customers. I certainly second that just as a consumer. If I see two hotels, I'm more likely to go to the more modern-looking one. So that's sort of where they're coming from. That said, they tried their best to incorporate somewhat of a Southwest style, but I see what you're saying. It's not totally that southwest look. With respect to the other buildings, it is sort of a hodgepodge. The building behind, the center behind, the Palm Center as it's called, does have that more southwest style. Most of the other buildings are just kind of all over the place. And so we believe it fits well enough. And I think it'll be a good look. I hope I answered your questions, just trying to give you my thoughts on that.
No, that's what I asked for, was your thoughts. Yeah, I think, and I guess the other piece that goes through my mind is actions of other commissions or inactions of other commissions, I don't think require me to continue that. You know, they let that go at the time. I don't think I have to, just because they let it go. At that
Absolutely.
point. And so I'm, you know, to say, and, you know, we all have disagreements about what looks good and what looks bad, and I'm very aware of that. This is a bit shocking to me of the difference. Again, I think, yes, those other smaller buildings are different in style, but they don't vary like this modern style next to this southwest style. Commissioners, please, I'm yakking too much over here, guys, come on. Anything else?
I don't necessarily have a question for you at all, but I guess maybe we should wait till we
Okay,
come back to.
Sure,
Yeah.
come back to us for discussion. Anything else for the owner? Actually, his representative.
Yes.
Very good, thank you.
I appreciate and understand everything you're saying. Thank you very much. Thank you all for your time.
So now we'll open the public portion of the meeting. Anybody from the public that would like to address this issue, please come forward. Seeing none, I'll close the public portion of this meeting for this issue and bring it back to commission. Garrett?
Yeah, so I'm not entirely concerned with the current architectural style. I would say I'd agree with the thought that a more modern looking building does probably attract people who see that and think, oh, newer, cleaner. And so I get that, I understand that. And I also understand the Southwest kind of look with the red tile in certain respect does look kind of dated. And so I get that. And so I'm not entirely concerned with the architectural style of the building. I'm more so just concerned with the change of the fence materials, mainly because I don't think composite or like plastic fences is a good look anywhere. But I also don't think the color that they're showing in the elevations that they provided is going to be maintained for very long. It shows a weathered look on it, and it becomes an orangey kind of color rather than the brown, and then that doesn't match any of the colors on the building at all. And so that's where, how often are they actually gonna go out there and maintain it? The minute it starts looking weathered, are they gonna paint it? And so if it's gonna even get to the point where it's looking weathered, I'd rather it just be a material that we know, a masonry wall, likely, that's painted, and we know it has a pretty long, good life, and once it starts looking a little faded, you throw that paint on there, but it's gonna not fade to an orange color that doesn't match your building. It's gonna be painted to that building color. And so that's where my main concern is more so just with that fence, and also because of the location of that fence, where they're proposing that Trex fence is all along this basin here. As you can see, that's a very visible area, and so anybody coming, heading east on Florence Boulevard, once you get past, if you're even sitting at the light right here at Camino Mercado, you can see that. And so if you're traveling down Camino Mercado, which is supposed to develop into a much larger road that is more, I believe it's an arterial, I can't remember, that's gonna have a lot more traffic on it in the future. And so that's gonna have a lot of people on it, and that's gonna be a very visible area, especially because this is going to be maintained as a retention basin. It needs to be because of the lack of planning that happened prior to development of this PAD. And so that's really been my main concern, is I think we should make sure that the walls and fencing materials, that is not messed with at all. And that part of the pad stays the same. And if anything, maybe we recommend or condition that it's a masonry block wall of a certain height, with certain architectural things, rustication, whatever it may be, just so that it's a nicer looking wall because of its visibility. Again, not the architectural style of the building, I'm not too concerned about, just what's it being paired with as far as its screening, and that's my concern.
Okay.
I have a question for
Yes,
Jim.
please.
Jim, the secondary access road, is that going to be public to the city, or is that going to be a ingress egress private drive?
It'll be a private drive, but through the platting process that they're going through, they'll designate a certain width to be for public access for vehicular, pedestrian, and utilities.
Okay, but the city wouldn't maintain it?
Correct. It would have to be maintained privately.
Okay. I guess just what I'm hearing is, there's a lot of accommodation for the profitability of the hotel rather than the needs of the community, or, I'm hearing that on a lot of, that's the response, This is what, we find is least, more profiting, least expensive for us on the fencing material, on the architecture. This is what we see as, I don't know. That's just what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I think, I think you guys heard me. I hate to repeat, but to change that PAD, to change that style, whether you call it old or what, I'd rather go to a place that has character. This style looks sterile to me. It's all, that's a matter of style, but we already have a PAD in place. We already have, this is, for this place, for this area, this was the style that was seen and planned for. And I think it's a good character, certainly a good character for a community in the middle of the Southwest, to continue to reflect that. And this, particularly because this is so large, it's just going to be, to me, it's going to be, which that does in itself is not bad for it to be large. For me, it is to be so different. It really bothers me. So you've heard me twice now. I'll shut up, please. What other comments?
Jim, could you bring up the old PAD of what the hotel would have looked like? Because it's quite nice, even though it was, 34 years ago. Like, it reminds me of the Arizona Grand, which is a dated hotel, but that's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's historic. It has character. Don't get me
It
started.
does have more character. Okay, sorry. But maybe it's all those trees that, would take years to grow.
Oh, you can buy them.
I have a question. In regards to, going back to Garrett's point about the fence and the fencing, are there any existing building codes that require any sort of a cinder wall for a building or of that type, commercial-wise?
Commissioner Smith, there's not a building code in place that requires a specific material. So to answer your question, no. One thing that I think is a possibility is there likely needs to be some type of fencing where they're proposing it because it's adjacent to that retention basin, so probably for safety purposes. There probably has to be some type of barrier, but what type of material they use, the code doesn't, from a building code standpoint, doesn't stipulate.
Okay. Given what Garrett said, and we're in our geographic location, and we know how monsoons hit, and actually given the dust storms and that come through here, what is the likelihood of that pushing it through and blowing it over and destroying it?
You could make it strong enough, I guess. But
I mean, with cinder walls, how often do you see those blown over?
yeah.
Right? That's why I was asking about the
Right.
existing code.
Yeah, and so if the fence is over 6 feet in height, it does require a permit and does have to have specific engineering, as far as how it is, anchored to the ground or engineered, but for 6 feet or less, it doesn't prompt a building permit. But it would be more of a maintenance issue if it blew over. The owner would be required to do the repairs to keep the site in compliance with the site plan.
And then on this retention area, the basin, does Dutch Bros, do they have to maintain it?
Yes.
And are we enforcing them to maintain it? Because it doesn't look like it's being maintained.
Well, if it is experiencing an issue in terms of its appearance or function, then we could look into that as a enforcement case.
I think there'd be rocks or something.
It's not a very, I mean,
No, I just thought it was a
it's very
hole.
just functional. It's not
Yeah.
landscaped.
It just looks out of whack.
Well, and that wasn't part of their original plan that we approved, as I recall.
It was. One thing that I'll say, this is one of the last times I'll make a 23-slide PowerPoint presentation. But I was gonna pull up the landscape plan. Give me 1 second, almost there.
It's all these extra little arrows and
It
stuff.
it
that
is,
cause
I
us
tell
all-
you. So, although they're not landscaping the Dutch Brothers parcel where lies the retention basin, the area that they are improving and landscaping that is part of what they own will kind of encase the retention basin to some degree. As you can see to the south, there will be some enhancements with some trees that kind of bows to the northwest a bit at Camino Mercado. And then, of course, there'll be landscaping to the south of that area, and then to some degree immediately to the east of the retention basin. I don't see trees there per se to the east, but it'll have some shrubs and a few trees with the parking lot islands.
All of that landscaping is on the hotel, it's not on the
Dutch Bros side.
Correct.
Dutch Bro side.
Right.
So you will see, driving by there, you will see that
What-
fence.
Correct.
You'll see Garrett's fence.
So in the note here on the basin, it says, per the city of Casa Grande landscape contractor to install DG. So who's doing that work?
Oh, my.
DG, pre-emergence, so
Right,
the
I
weeds
see
don't grow?
that. Well, I would have to have the applicant address that, because it would be work on another
Yeah, go ahead,
person's property.
Sorry, just.
No, it's great. No, that's good information.
Yeah, this project proposes to lay down new DG and landscape the basin, not with plants, but with DG, as
Oh,
part of this project.
So you're going to do it with the project? Oh, that's great.
Yes,
Oh,
Yeah.
you are?
Good.
yes.
Oh, I thought it was Dutch Bros the issue.
It probably is, but since they're not taking care of it, then
Okay. That's what I was asking.
Well, this site will feed into that retention pond also,
Yes.
I assume.
A lot of the center goes to that pond. And I'm the civil engineer, I designed the drainage design, I'm really familiar with it.
Right, so yeah, that's why they're pitching in.
It's way bigger than you would ever need for the 100-year storm, trust me.
Okay.
So there's room for another Dutch Bro.
If I may say, the applicant is willing to accept a stipulation of regular CMU fencing and not amending that part of the PAD. Thank you. I'll go back to my seat.
I'd be okay with that stipulation if staff and everybody else on this commission would be okay, but I don't know. It seems as though there's still some other things that we need to discuss.
I'm just concerned about Camino del Norte Norte. That's my next one.
Yeah,
I just, it's so narrow now. It's horrible to get in and out now. It's, I mean, horrible. And if they don't fix Florence,
If anything, I would think that the traffic study would have said to make those interim improvements to make it a right-hand turn
Yeah.
only,
absolutely.
which didn't, I guess.
so where do you say in the right-hand turn out?
They would have to put
At the end of-
the median on Florence to block the access for people to make lefts.
They'd have to do improvements on Florence at
That's what
that
I'm saying.
intersection of Norte.
That's what I'm
Yes.
saying. They need to fix that first because we're just
And
causing.
not just wait for the city to
No.
do this project that is unfunded for, the next
Exactly.
10 years.
Exactly. I just feel like we're causing another issue. And then you're
It
gonna have
is.
QT upset because how are people gonna go in and out of QT if we change?
No, they would just put a tiny little median right that crosses just across
Okay.
Camino Norte. It wouldn't go all the way to QT. It can be done. It's just whether,
I would say I don't think we should limit lefts in, but if anything, it should just be right outs with a pork chop installed on Camino del Norte.
yeah,
So-
that would work too.
So no lefts out.
Right.
Yeah, no lefts out.
Yeah.
Because now with this road, you can go over to Camino Mercado and make your left there.
Right.
If you're going left,
Exactly.
instead
That's what
of trying to.
everybody does that.
You better.
The reasonable
You
people.
better, because
Right.
it'll take forever to take that left out. Take that left out, takes forever.
Yeah.
I don't know, I feel like there's more work to do. It's not ready. And maybe the applicant can take back all these comments and bring it back to us with,
I can't particularly, I mean, if this was a two-story building, make it modern, but I just can't, you know what, I take that back. I still think that they should stick with that southwest style, this is where it is. This is our little southwest style piece. We've got modern in other places, we've got other designs in other places, and I just particularly, the other thing that crosses my mind is, this is one of the main entrances into the community. So do we look like a hodgepodge, or do we look like a Southwest city? Or, and you could say, it's not very attractive, to me, it has character. That's gonna be an argument, but I can't get myself over it. But you've heard that now 3 times. So,
But don't you think that the Dutch Brothers and the Popeyes looks like a clown show there? Nick?
well, I think Dutch Brothers was you want my opinion, really?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I think Dutch Brothers was intentionally looks like a clown show. I mean, it sticks out, every one of them. But to me, and again, I wouldn't, if I had known this was a PAD that had that requirement,
Right,
I would have never approved it. I wasn't on when that was approved, I don't recall it. The other two, so you've got, Cracker Barrel Western style. Okay, that's not, it's not that far away from
Right.
and then the other one has, rock block walls.
Yeah.
Well,
Then you got the Arco.
to me, that's pretty close.
the Arco has the roof.
They have a roof, they have
Oh,
a
okay.
That was
tile
their,
roof.
that was,
That was their
yeah.
southwestern
and I
style.
think
Okay.
that's all you're asking for, right? Something reasonable.
Okay, if it looked like that, I wouldn't,
Or
I would
maybe it
feel
has
better, okay? I won't say I'll be all
the
for it,
brick, maybe.
but
I will say, I would really hate for this to not develop, mainly for the fact that when you drive in there currently, it doesn't look great.
right?
And so this at least they're coming to us with something that's going to improve the look of it, whether it's a modern style or a Southwest style. It's going to look better. And so, as to your point, being a gateway, rather than having a bunch of empty pads, I think it would be better to have something, even if it doesn't necessarily match the current architectural style of a building that honestly turns its back on Florence Boulevard and doesn't really provide that Spanish architectural Southwest style to the front. It provides it to its parking lot, that you have to go into your parking lot to see it. And so
Oh,
that's,
no, you will see 2.5 stories when you drive up.
I'm talking about the existing.
Oh,
The existing factory outlet building there. That architectural style, it's only facing inward. It's not really facing outward towards Florence Boulevard and Camino Mercado.
they have a
And-
really nice, pretty little,
And then you can see the
Hang
AC
on there.
units behind it when you're on Florence. And so that's what I'm talking about. You know,
well, if I believed that this would be the last proposal for that lot, I would have that concern. I don't believe that, number one, I don't believe that, and number two, if you go half a football field or maybe a football field further down, it's vacant on all sides. So, yes, I like filling in, and that one is particularly ugly. I'm with you. But
But it's the entrance.
but the other thing to your point,
you and I disagree for once. It never. Go ahead.
but the other thing to your point of, you know, you don't think it'll sit for very long. I mean, it has sat for a very long time, so much so to the point that a whole new mall developed on the other side of the interstate, and that has continued to attract new development. I mean, there's an Applebee's now going in. So this side, the west side, has not attracted that same kind of interest that the east side has. And so how much, and the east side still has developable pads in it. And so how much more does the east side develop before they finally decide, okay, we're going to go on the west side? Right now, we have somebody in front of us saying, we're going to take these ugly pads, put landscaping DG in there. They're okay do a nicer looking fence, and they're going to put a modern building on it. Sure, it's not the Southwest style, but it's a modern looking building that looks nice. I mean, we can look at the Holiday Inn Express just down the street that was recently built behind the Texas Roadhouse. Very similar look to this. And so that's where I think
That one
Extended
you
Stay
can get
America is
into
owned by
out of
Holiday Inn. I don't remember.
The one behind Texas Roadhouse.
I mean, I'm talking about
Access-
the architectural
No,
style,
I'm not
though.
talking, but this one you can't get in and out of at the moment. I mean, the roads are horrible. I mean, I'm not concerned about the building, that's fine too. It's literally just the roads, getting in and out. The one behind Texas Roadhouse, it's 4 lanes, you can go in and out, it's perfect. They set that up fine. This, literally, you're gonna have people coming, right now, just trying to get out of the Arco station or whatever the station is, it's a pain in the butt. And then you have that, you go in, if you're heading west, you can't, they have a turn in and turn out, or I don't know what it is, it's some funky thing.
The pork chop.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, people are trying to turn into it. You're really not supposed to be turning into it, but people are turning into it. And then it's just a mess. And I can't imagine adding this to the mess. I want something there, but I think we need to fix the roads first. You know?
So what goes through my mind is yours, is it is very obvious to me that you and I have different time perspectives. Because my mind still says, that's Mr. Hennis's cotton field. So as far as the time perspective about how long it's gonna be, it's still coming, and for us old guys, it's moving pretty good. It'll come, it'll come. But, you know, fair, that's an ugly lot.
It is ugly, but I think that we are at a point in the city's development, of, you know, of what we've planned, that we can be a little pickier now. You know, we can have a little more say and not just say, welcome anybody and everybody, and anything you want to do, we're going to approve. So, that's.
I don't disagree. Okay.
Chairman, I'll make a
What's
motion.
your desire? Please go, that'd be
See,
great.
nobody wants to be the front of the news article. I'm just kidding. Chairman, I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
Can you bring the last slide up, Jim? Oh, Sam, thank you. Chairman, I'm going to make a motion to deny DSA 25-00012.
1-2 or 1-3?
1-3. It's just weird that we're doing the threes before the twos here. Yes, DSA 25-0013.
Before we vote on that,
Let's get a second.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion.
could we maybe possibly make it an approval with stipulations that remove the proposed pad amendments? So that if they wanted to do this, they can still go ahead and do it, but it's gonna have to be in the Southwest architectural style that you're wanting.
Well,
No, I'd like
No.
to see it.
that's what, because this motion is to, right? That is to change, is to not change that PAD.
Yeah, but I'm asking if maybe we approve the amendment to the PAD with the stipulation that architectural style walls and fences, those aspects of the PAD that they're amending are the same as they are today, while the rest of what they're asking to be amended is amended.
No.
But we still stuck with the road problem.
Well,
Could,
the
you
road
could.
problem is
The road
the
problem
second
will be
item.
the next,
Yeah.
I'm not sure we're
is the-
solving the road problem.
right. The road problem, it would be really part of the next action, right? The major site plan, in my opinion. We have an attorney, but he's very quiet over there.
Ultimately, generally, we look at the roads as part of the major site plan. But I do believe our PAD requirements also allow you to look at those roads, as part of a decision whether to amend the PAD. So you can really consider it at either point, but generally, this commission has considered, primarily the roadway issues when it gets to the major site plan, if it does tonight.
Yeah, that's my mindset. So, my only challenge with trying to make that adjustment is I'm not sure that, well, number one, trying to get all the language right while we're sitting here. That's a big one. And then number two, I'm not sure that we're all in. To me, it feels like there's so many different pieces of what we agree with and what we don't. You agree with this part, I agree with that part, she doesn't like that part. So that was, not saying we can't,
Yeah.
just saying that. Okay, anything else on the motion is to deny the request for changing, let's see, we're not changing, we're accepting this new PAD, correct?
But you made the motion to deny.
To deny, right, to deny changing that PAD. Okay? Okay. Motion second, any more discussion? Okay, please call the roll.
Member Smith,
Yes.
Member Aldred,
Nay.
Member Vanderhayden,
No.
Member Hubbard,
Yes.
Member Peters,
Nay.
Vice Chair Garza,
Aye.
Chairman Benedict,
Wow, split me, didn't you? Yes. So, Casco PAD remains the same. This was a motion to disapprove that request. And next is the major site plan, or do we act on it?
Yeah, without the, go ahead, Dan. I was gonna say, without the zoning, I don't believe this major site plan is in a position for the commission to really be able to hear, because the elevations are gonna be wrong. You didn't approve the height change to this, so it's really not in a condition that you can do. You could potentially table it, or
I was gonna say, would it be better order for us to table it? Or
you
would
certainly
we just leave
could
it, let it
table
go?
it in case they want to come back with, some changes, but it's going to be significant changes to the site plan for them to meet the current PAD. And I'm not sure if Dan or James have anything further on that.
Well, and they could try the wording on changing the PAD and come back with, you know, a different structure of the changes of the PAD and have the same, similar discussion, I would guess. But what's your advice on, do I ask for a motion or do we just let it drop?
And I mean, you could, I want to guess I'd get Dan's opinion on it as well. I mean, because he has something that he wants to.
We would prefer that you move forward with a motion and a vote on the site plan as well.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah, go ahead.
Chairman, I'll make a motion to deny DSA 25-00012.
Okay,
I second.
all right, got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Member Smith,
Yes.
Member Aldred,
Nay.
Member Vanderhayden,
No.
Member Hubbard,
Yes.
Member Peters,
Nay.
Vice Chair Garza,
Aye.
Chairman Benedict,
Yes. Yeah, we need to clean that, rest of that up. All right. Hope you guys can put something together that will make more of us happy. We're, you know, as you can hear, we're not against the project. You know, we'd love to see something there. It just needs to fit a little better. Thank you. Okay, next, Planning Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. So I did promise you tablets by this meeting, and I don't know if they haven't been delivered or IT's busy. So definitely by next meeting, we'll have you some tablets and some little stands. We'll look at adding to the memorandum if there are any current code violations on a parcel or a development
Appreciate that.
on a parcel that you're considering. And that's really all I have, unless staff has anything.
I have a question. On the tablets, are they just going to stay here, or are we able to take them home so we can watch everything?
Yeah, I kind of assume everybody here has a computer at home. They can look at the agenda. I'm going to keep the tablets because we will need them for other commissions like the Board of Adjustment. And
So, I don't understand the point of a tablet then.
the point of the tablet is so we're not going to print your.
I know, but I like to read this
So you don't
before,
want
I like to read this before I come here, and then, so I'm, so I have a computer, I can do the same thing.
I think it's just so they don't have to print a copy for all of us here at the meeting.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
So you can bring your paper and have a tablet.
I know. No. Okay, got it, okay.
Did you guys, I noticed there's a lot of drone footage here. Did you guys get a new drone? Did the city get a new drone? The photography is great.
Yes, we did get a new drone, and staff's being trained up on it, and we'll be licensed, so you'll be seeing
Nice.
more drone
Excellent.
footage. And if there's anything more specific you want to see in the presentations from the drone, just let us know.
Yeah, good deal.
The picture from yesterday showed the nice dark cloud, the nice
Yeah.
dark sky. We don't see that too often.
And another question, is there an ETA on target?
We want
No, there is not.
Is there a reason why there's not?
I don't know for sure. We've heard maybe the rumors that you have heard as well.
That's what I was
I
wondering.
can say that they have been communicating with Jim about some details about the site, but I don't want to give the impression that they're moving forward. We just don't know yet.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, question I'd have, if you were done.
I am done, thank you.
Yeah, okay, so the council, did they go contrary to our recommendations on anything?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
I can't remember them all, so but it's just always interesting for me to know whether, it helps me know what they're thinking.
Sure, I don't remember the last few meetings I've been to, I don't remember.
You've been busy first couple?
But I'll definitely make a note of anything that the
Gotcha.
council might disagree with you on and vote another way.
Okay.
Okay,
and report back.
and do we have the development report? What did I do with my copy? I'll get it. Is that my copy? Oh, you took my copy. All right. Okay, anything else, commissioners? For the good of the order? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.